Welcome to another episode of Beautiful, Bad and Bizarre. Today we're bringing flowers and visiting the grave of one of my most favourite actors, Jack Wilde.
What you staring at? Haven't you never seen a top?
Jack Wilde was born on the 30th of September 1952 at the family home 425 Shore Road in Royton, Manchester. Jack's grandparents lived in the same street at number 338. Jack Wilde's older brother Arthur had been born on the 8th of September 1951. Close in age and looks, they were often mistaken for twins as they were growing up. Remembering the first films he ever saw as a child, Bambi and Gulliver's Travels, Jack Wilde recalled, "To see these films on the big screen was like going into another world. It was incredible." But Jack Wilde had never wanted to be an actor. The young Jack had other ambitions. He wanted to be either a footballer or a doctor. After Jack's parents had a disagreement with their employer, they decided to move to London, and so in the summer of 1960 the family packed up and moved to Hounslow. Jack's childhood memories gave him great happiness. He recalled family holidays to Margate when he went biking through rivers, slept in hidden campsites and was thrilled to come across a chase in the woods with cops and robbers. The smell of campfires and the thrilling tales of scary things at night. Most of all, he remembered lungfuls of fresh air and not a care in the world. He also remembered hanging around the park smoking from the age of 10 and endless games of football in the park. In 1964, one of Jack Wilde's football mates was none other than Phil Collins, and it was when Phil's mum came to pick her son up from the park one day that she spotted potential in both Jack and his brother Arthur, who he called Arf, as possible actors. Mrs. Collins suggested they should go to the Barbara Speake Stage School where her son Phil went. June Collins was a booking agent there. And so a whole new chapter was about to begin. Jack's parents were not able to afford to send the boys to stage school, but they told them that if they worked and paid their own way. Jack was 11 at this point and he and Arf had a milk round. His parents said they would agree to the boys going, so they struck a deal. Jack and Arf joined the Barbara Speake Stage School and loved every minute of it. Straight away the boys were being sent out on auditions and, as suspected, they were being snapped up and getting the parts. The only part of stage school Jack Wilde didn't enjoy was ballet class, but he found a way around it. Barbara Speake had a contract with the BBC to provide stand-ins for camera rehearsals for the live children's TV series Crackerjack. It wasn't a paid job, but Jack always volunteered simply because it clashed with ballet lessons. Towards the end of 1964, Jack Wilde began working on the stage production of Oliver as one of Fagin's gang. He said he and Arf were earning £9 a week, but after paying bus and train fares, school fees and agent's commission, they were left with less money than they earned on their milk round. But they loved it. In the second year of being in the production, Arf was offered the part of Oliver and Jack got the part of Charlie Bates, Dodger's right-hand man. He said he really wanted to play Dodger but wasn't tall enough, and believe it or not, Phil Collins got the part. While Jack was in the stage production, on his rest days and sometimes even during production times, he would do small parts on TV, including Dr. Finley's Casebook and Z-Cars. He'd also be in countless adverts, including for Heinz Soup and Bird's Eye Peas. As both the brothers were earning more money, their parents, who were now earning a lot less than their sons, opened a building society account for them. Unlike some showbiz parents, they never took any money off their children. Jack Wilde also worked with Peter Butterworth on Danny the Dragon. He also played opposite the lovely Sally Tomset and the wonderful actress I actually got to meet and have a drink with, the delightful Carmel McSharry. Then, on a morning in January 1967, a 14-year-old Jack Wilde went off to audition for a part in Oliver, the movie. And to his absolute delight, he was tested for the part of the Artful Dodger and got it. One of my favourite descriptions of Oliver Reed, who played Bill Sikes in the film, is from Jack Wilde. He said, "Mr. Oliver Reed, who played Sikes, would always arrive at the studios in a primrose yellow E-type convertible Jag. I thought this was too much. He was everything I wanted to be: successful, butch, strong and good looking, a bear of a man that women adored. And he drove fast cars. Could there be anything more? I wouldn't actually speak to him. In fact, I don't think I had a conversation with him in the whole year we worked together. I was far too frightened of him to do that." We all were. Ron Moody was the most perfect Fagin, and he works so well with the Artful Dodger, Jack Wilde. It's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role, but did you know that Peter Sellers was initially considered for it? I think Ron made it his own. Jack Wilde loved every minute of working on the movie, and he said he knew even then that parts don't come any better than Dodger, and that he'd been involved in something special. When the film premiered, he couldn't believe the response, and he was told that he and Ron Moody as Fagin had stolen the movie and was receiving rave reviews. Jack said he even felt embarrassed about it. He also said, "I wouldn't have minded if girls of my age had been saying, 'We've heard about how good you are,' and wanted to talk to me and have a snog or whatever. But still all they wanted to do was mother me." At the premiere, Jack Wilde also got to meet Princess Margaret, recalling, "She shone like polished furniture." Jack Wilde was riding the wave of fame and fortune. Jack was appearing on an endless stream of variety shows, and in 1969 Hollywood was calling, in the shape of a big luminous yellow and green dragon, as Jack signed up to work on the children's series HR Pufnstuf, which was shot at Universal Studios. It was about the adventures of Jimmy, played by Jack, a boy who is trapped in a magical land of fantasy with a dragon and a witch. Eventually, returning to England, the publicity and fame continued, and Jack Wilde released 3 albums, including Everything's Coming Up Roses in 1971. Although Jack's career as a pop star was already on the decline before it really ever took off. Also in 1971, Jack Wilde featured in Alan Parker's first movie, Melody. By now smoking incessantly, Jack was also struggling with a growing problem with alcohol. In 1972, Jack Wilde appeared in The Pied Piper, a fantasy drama musical based on the fairy tale and filmed in Germany. It also featured a particular favourite of mine, Diana Dawes. When Jack saw the final edit, he was terribly disappointed. The problem was that it was neither entertaining enough for children or adult enough to entertain grown-ups. It never really found its place and never fully captivated its audience. As the 1970s rapidly moved on, work offers for Jack had slowed down considerably while his drinking had gathered pace. However, on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February 1976, he had married his childhood sweetheart, Gaynor Jones. Jack Wilde had accepted a part in the 1976 comedy Keep It Up Downstairs. One of the reasons he took the part because it would mean working once again with Diana Dawes, and he also thought the script was quite funny. The filming took place at Nebworth House in Hertfordshire. At this point, Jack's drinking was steadily increasing, and he was drinking large amounts of red wine in particular. However, he never missed a day of shooting and was able to work. When filming was over, they were invited to a private screening. Both Jack and Diana were shocked, especially Jack, who had invited Gaynor and her mother along to watch. They thought it was going to be hilarious. It wasn't. In 2 hours of the screening, no one laughed. Apparently, there had been a second unit at a flat in London shooting all the extra naughty bits. which they then slotted into the footage that was shot at Nebworth House. Everyone was embarrassed, and Jack Wild said he always felt ashamed of that film. 10 years on, work had dried up and Jack and Gaynor had separated in 1985, primarily due to Jack's drinking. Divorce proceedings were going forward, and Christmas and New Year 1986 was spent in a blur of alcohol. But it wasn't just Jack's problem. His brother Arthur was facing the same struggles, and so friends rallied and it was decided to check both brothers into rehab, but at different clinics. So at the end of January 1986, Jack went into the Broadreach Clinic in Plymouth, while Arthur was taken to a clinic closer to home at St Bernard's in Ealing Hospital. After 6 weeks in rehab, within a week of leaving Broadreach, Jack had started drinking again. The battle continued, and in 1987, Jack's mum passed away, which sent him plunging deeper into decline. However, Jack never gave up trying, and finally, by 1989, he'd stopped drinking and work was at last coming in again. In 1991, he appeared in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. Jack was grateful to be working again, and while he was working in pantomime at the Connaught Theatre in Worthing in 1995, Jack Wild met his future wife, Claire Harding. They were both performing in Jack and the Beanstalk. In 2001, Jack Wild was diagnosed with oral cancer, and in 2004 he had an operation in which his tongue and voice box were both removed, leaving him unable to speak. Despite his illness, Jack Wild continued to perform, and in December 2004 he appeared in the pantomime Cinderella in Worcester. They rewrote the play around him, and Jack mimed his performance, and it went down a storm. Unfortunately, in January 2005, at the end of panto season, it was clear his cancer had returned. Jack Wild married Claire on the 7th of September 2005. Together they campaigned for Cancer Research UK to raise awareness of oral cancer. Claire would lip read so that Jack was able to put across his message. Tragically, just before midnight on the 1st of March 2006, Jack Wild died at home at the age of 53. Jack Wild, actor, the 30th of September 1952, the 1st of March 2006. Still so loved, still so missed. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. It's been a really emotional one for me, and thank you for being here with me. And also a big thank you for everybody that's subscribed and supports the channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you.